Yo, what is up everyone? Jay here with another Fire Emblem Heroes reaction video to this month's legendary hero that has just been revealed, and it is legendary Deirdre. So, huge congratulations to Jugdral fans. You're getting another legendary version. You just had Brave Seliph, and now the family is pretty much all together with their legendaries. Julia had hers, Seliph had his, and Sigurd of course, and now legendary Deirdre. So that's pretty cool, and she's an Earth legendary hero, and she is a blue infantry mage this time, which is, it's pretty good because she was a green infantry mage before, so I'm glad that they made her different. Though she is in a pretty competitive class type, the blue infantry mages, there's a lot of strong ones, but even so, I think she still has some stuff to make her stick out. So, this artist also did her base version and also did Julia, and I think those are the only two characters that they've done, so it's kind of cool to see them come back after all this time to do legendary Deirdre, so that is pretty sweet. And yeah. So let's go over her kits. Like I said, I definitely think she has some stuff to make her pretty good. So Spirit Force Writ is her tome. This gives her -1 cooldown and effectiveness against dragon foes, of course. And if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, which is a very easy condition, gives her the attack res -6 debuff on the foe during combat. And also makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is really nice because she might be not that fast, kind of similar to legendary Julia. So getting the guaranteed follow-up is really nice. Of course, she's gonna have to watch out for the ever so present no follow-up, but still, the guaranteed follow-up attack is really good for her. And also, she comes with the ability to disable the foe skills that calculate the damage, so basically stopping adaptive damage effects, which is really good. So basically, she has Mystic Boost in this weapon, just without the healing part. And then the last part, which makes her even stronger, basically, if the foe's res is lower than hers, or if res is greater than the foe's at the start of combat, inflicts a penalty on the foe's attack and res during combat equal to 80% of the difference between the res stats. So keep in mind that this part of the weapon, when it says start of combat, that means it's a visible check. So, if you're raising your stats with like drive res, that's not going to be an account with the res check. It's just a visible stat check. So it's similar to the flight skills, Wyvern Flight and Pegasus Flight, but it's actually better than the flight skills because the flight skills only are 50% of the difference, but here it's 80%. So she can get a maximum penalty of -12 compared to the flight skills, which I think only go up to -7. So she basically has a flight skill as an infantry unit, and of course she has a lot of res. She's definitely going to have around 40 base res, so this is a really good effect for her. So that's going to make her a lot stronger, on top of the fact that she comes with attack res -6 on the foe during combat for free. Basically, that is going to be really easy to get. And of course she comes with still water to just increase her res even more. So out the gate, she might even have like close to 50 res, like unmerged, which is pretty cool. And really good for her. So that is her weapon, pretty solid. And then she comes with a PRF special, which is really nice. I'm glad that they gave her a PRF special, because this, of course, gives her something unique besides her weapon. So Circlet of Balance, this is a 2 cooldown special that boosts the special damage by 40% of her res, which is pretty good. So basically, it's easier to trigger Iceberg just with a little less power. And then also, if the unit's HP is greater than 1, and if the foe will reduce her HP to 0, and both of the following conditions apply, the unit survives with 1 HP. So it's basically a miracle effect with a bit more conditions to it. So the conditions are, if the unit or foe special is ready, or unit or foe special triggered during this combat, which, is not too hard to get for the most part, because she has -1 cooldown on her weapon. But if you want to have it pre-charged, you'll have to get rid of the menace skill and run something like Time's Pulse. But still, that's, not too hard of a condition. And then also the second condition, which is even easier, if she initiates combat or if the foe's range is 2. So if she's fighting any kind of ranged opponent, a bow unit, staff unit, another mage, she'll be able to have the miracle effect. So that is pretty good, and also she initiates. So Circle of Balance here, they did definitely balance it, because it's not the straight up miracle, and it's not as easy to get as Brave Seliph, who we just recently had, and his miracle effect is really obnoxious to deal with. But here for Deirdre, it is a bit harder for her. I guess the reason they kind of toned it down is because she's a ranged unit compared to Seliph, who's a melee unit, I guess. But still, I'm kind of glad it's not as crazy, because I'm kind of tired of fighting Brave Seliph and his miracle effect, because the miracle effect, don't sleep on it. If you guys have, you play competitively like me, that effect can sway a lot of matchups. And of course, it can still sway it here for Deirdre. It's just a little harder for her to get. And of course, it does give her the ability to boost her damage output, so it's not, locked to her weapon, so that's pretty good. But the another bad part is that it only works once per map, so that kind of sucks. So it only works once per map. So if you heal her back up, then she won't be able to get it in the same battle, so you have to keep that in mind. And of course, it doesn't stack with like other miracle effects. So yeah, that is Circle of Balance, definitely balanced like it says in the skill, but still pretty good. Like I said, it's just a better iceberg in most regards. And then she comes with Stillwater 4, which is funny because we keep getting the Stillwater 4 skills. You know, we had it on Bridalina and then Summer Thor and now Deirdre again, and they're not releasing the other versions of these skills, whatever it's going to be called, Still Fire, I don't know, whatever the other versions are called, but it's still going to be good for her. Obviously, like I said, it increases her res and attack, which is great for her weapon. And then she comes with Attack Res Tempo 3, which is a new B skill. The only other tempo skill we had up to this point was the Speed Defense version, so now this is another good option for a lot of mages. One that comes to mind is like Ascended Ishtar, because, you know, she is a brave weapon user. Though obviously she would still want to have speed res tempo more ideally, but this can still be good for her to just pierce through card effects and not have to care about breath skills and whatnot. But still, that's like the one unit I'm thinking of. There's probably some other mages that I can't think of right now, but Deirdre definitely uses her well because she has -1 cooldown, and this will help her pierce through a lot of dragons and just tanks in general. So Attack Res Tempo 3 is really good, and then Attack Res Menace. So that's her kit, pretty simple. Her specials are really balanced, the Circle of Balance, but it's still pretty solid. And you know, not every legendary hero has to be super broken, honestly. That's one thing. It's like everybody just expects every legendary hero to be crazy good. Some people legitimately think like that, and I'm like, no, they don't have to be. They can all just be pretty solid and do what they do best. So I mean, just think about it. If everybody was like, you know, legendary Sigurd good, then the game would be really unbearable sometimes, honestly. So, you know, kind of glad that, you know, not every legendary, especially these days when we've done most of the lords and stuff, of course, you know, that they're not all crazy broken. But of course, I'm not saying Deirdre's bad. She's still really good at what she does, but she's not like super meta, I'd say. But definitely one of the better blue mages, definitely. So yeah, that is legendary Deirdre, and here she is using her miracle effect against this Bow Cavalier and then just destroying him with her special. So that is legendary Deirdre. And let's go over the rest of the units on the banner. Sorry if my video is lagging. My computer is being stupid. But yeah, so let's go over the rest of the legendary heroes on the banner. This banner is pretty solid. So legendary Seliph is here. Legendary Corrin, Triandra, legendary Faye. We have Thor. Ash is on here as well. Who else is on here? Hugh, which we haven't seen in a while. He's a pretty rare unit. Galsus, who's also pretty rare. Fallen Rhea, who is a great save tank. Fallen Gustav, who's a pretty good Axe Cavalier, and legendary Myrrh. So that is everybody. Yeah, that's everybody on the banner. You know, as I always do, I like to rank the colors. So the first one that sticks out is red, because red is usually always a dud, and of course here, unfortunately, red is also a dud. But it's still not like a complete dud because they still have good fodder. Like Galsus here, he comes with the Rhine Sword, comes with Surge Parrot and No Follow-Up, which are great fodder for a lot of other swordies you want to give it to. So he is not bad at all when it comes to fodder. Hugh, you know, like I said, he's very rare, but he comes with a very good fodder. I think he comes with a Rouse 4 skill. I don't remember exactly what Rouse it is. But I think he comes with a Rouse skill. And then he comes with Speed Defense Ideal 4, which, you know, at first glance, you might think, oh, it's just a worse version of Attack Speed Ideal. And I guess it is for the most part, but it's actually a pretty good Ideal skill because you can slap that on any kind of max invested Sword Infantry God Sword. And they can get really, really bulky because, of course, a lot of them, you know, want to run Spurn or have Spurn, or some kind of damage reduction, speed-based damage reduction in their weapon. So Speed Defense Ideal is actually really good to help them become really, really tanky in like become a frontliner, and you know, you can just cover them with a far save tank. And I've lost to a couple units with Speed Defense Ideal, like a +10 Young Mia, which was actually absolutely disgusting to deal with. So Speed Defense Ideal 4 is actually pretty good fodder, and Hugh has pretty good fodder for that. Not quite as good as Attack Speed Ideal, I guess, but still pretty good for a lot of units that want to just be a bulky frontliner. And then red, the last unit here, is legendary Seliph, who is kind of the dud, probably the worst unit on the banner, I'd say. Unfortunately, you know, Brave Seliph just came out, who is just way better than him in pretty much every regard, and has way more stuff than legendary Seliph because he is one of the more tame legendary heroes. But, you know, if you're trying to merge up Seliph, he can still be a pretty good shot in the red pool here, because like I said, the other units also have pretty good fodder. And then green, and then, yeah, so green and blue, I was going to say, and colorless, they're all actually pretty good. Like, you can honestly say, I think it's between green and blue being the best color here. Because, you know, blue has legendary Deirdre, Faye, and legendary Myrrh, who are all solid legendary units. You know, Faye has amazing fodder with distant stance, and she's also a pretty solid legendary herself. Distance stance fodder is great for a lot of tanks, and it's pretty sought after, especially for dragons that are running Dragon Wall. So she's pretty good. And then Legendary Merc comes with defense res unity, which is she's the only unit with it, so that's pretty coveted. And then Legendary Deirdre, of course, I already went over, who is also one of the better blue mages. So blue is overall really good. It's honestly tied with green, I'd say. You could probably, or no, it's probably tied with colorless. It just depends what you value, but honestly, I think I give the nod to blue being the best color here. Then colorless has Legendary Corrin, who, you know, isn't the best tank and not as quite as good as she used to be, but, you know, max investment, she can still be pretty good. You know, negating Fang is still pretty solid against a lot of units that aren't Legendary Nana. So Legendary Corrin also has good fodder with disencounter and joint drive attack. And then Ashe is also here, who's an amazing mythic, one of the best mythics in the game, just having really simple and easy support, and also being a great tank as well because she's really bulky. Comes with attack defense ideal, or not ideal, unity and low skill. So Ashe is great overall. And then Fallen Rhea, of course, is one of the best dragon safe tanks in the game. She hits incredibly hard and can be incredibly bulky with her true Dragon Wall. So Fallen Rhea is definitely no joke. So colorless, I'd say, is right up there with blue, and then last is green. So green has Fallen Gustav, who's a pretty good axe cavalry himself, but his fodder is also really, really good because he comes with attack smoke 4, and he's the only unit with it, and attack smoke 4 is great for a lot of units in the game, and, you know, it's very coveted. So that is Fallen Gustav, and he also comes with the catch and trace, which are also pretty good skills. And then Triandra, who, you know, is not the best mythic, but she's still a dancer at the end of the day, so she still gives you that inherent value, because I believe every dancer, because they can dance and refresh a unit, they all have inherent value. So Triandra is there as a pretty good dancer. And then Thor, lastly, who's also one of the best mythics, having that amazing support and an amazing weapon. So yeah, that is the colorless, or sorry, the colors on the banner. Overall, I think blue is the best, followed by colorless, green, and then red. If that's the ranking I give it on this banner. So yeah, overall pretty solid. Like I said, the red can be a dud, but still, the worst unit here is pretty much a legendary Self, I'd say. But the rest of the units all have pretty solid fodder, honestly. So, you know, if you're looking for good fodder, this is actually a pretty good shot for it. So I'm going to be skipping this banner, but I actually want to pull for Thor because I want Flow Guard. I'm trying to plus 10 Ricard, my boy Ricard. So I want to give them that skill, but I want to save my orbs because I'm broke. I only have like 100. I know that seems like a lot to some people, but having 100, only 100 is not that much to me. I got to have like at least 300 to feel like I can summon you sometimes. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely going to probably skip this banner. Hopefully I can get Thor for free. That'd be kind of nice. But yeah, so that is the legendary banner for Legendary Deirdre, the Fated Saint. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you comment, leave a like if you enjoyed listening to me ramble. As always, please stay safe out there, and peace out.